guys. A lot of people had time to do other things today, and they chose to came here, right? Our fans, their fans. College basketball, we're just proud to be in it in this moment. I mean, it's a really cool thing. We made Elizabeth in Georgia, man, they had a great night, and we defended them pretty well. Two really, really good players. Liz didn't hurt us at all on the block. It was really around the perimeter. And so, if you help too much there, then you give up threes to other guys. So I think when you watch that game back, or maybe you guys don't have to do that, but we do, there's a lot of possessions that we'll like on the defensive end. We really made them play well. Two really, really good players, so hats off to them. Outside of that first quarter, man, we didn't start the game well. 3 turnovers in the first kind of 3 minutes of the game, dug ourselves a big hole. Imagine if you could just take away the first quarter. I think we'd like where we'd be, but we can't. Two good teams. Glad you guys were there to see it.
Please raise your hand if you got a question. Caroline.
For Deja and Lexi, what did you kind of see happen in that first quarter? Like, what was going wrong?
I think we were beating ourselves, I think, early on. I think Coach said we had 3 turnovers in the first 4 possessions. I think we were just almost too anxious at how tough it felt on the court between us. But, yeah, I just thought we didn't value those possessions, which mattered because they came out punching and hit a couple threes really early, so that ultimately hurt us.
Yeah, it'll be more telling, I think, once we are able to rewatch this game, but just initial thoughts is that our shot selection probably wasn't what we really wanted. Probably didn't get into enough actions and movement to get better shots for us.
Courtney, these games are usually thrillers between these two teams. What was different about either Tech's offense or defense today or yours that it wasn't?
First quarter. The first quarter. Take out the first quarter. I'm not. I believe me. I'm the first to tell you I'm not good at math, but I think if you take out the first quarter, you win the game, right? So, the first quarter, these guys were excited and, weren't able to kind of harness that, So, I felt it was a thriller. I thought it was great. So.
How much did the environment in Castle play into that first quarter?
I mean, I have to say that's why I started with how great college basketball is, right? We played at UConn. Imagine what that environment was like, right? We played a sold-out Duke Carolina. Imagine what that was like, right? We've played obviously at NC State. Imagine what that was like, right? So what's so great is the media asked me before the game or whatever we did media, did you prepare with loud music and whatnot? 3 years ago, we would have. This year, it's just another day with a full gym. I mean, our game against Duke is already sold out, right? So that's how great women's basketball is right now. This is not the only time. It's not the only time for Virginia Tech. They're going to go play in great environments too, and the NCAA tournament is going to have great environments. The ACC tournament is going to have great environments. Like this game 4 years ago, the environment changes that game. This year, it's just another one of them. So great for women's basketball.
And Lexi and Deja, can you kind of discuss what the halftime conversation was after drawing the lead down to 6 points going into halftime?
Speaking of, I didn't even tell you, nice shot.
Thanks.
Good shot.
Thanks. The halftime talk was just that, how good of a second quarter that was for us. We valued our possessions. We got the shots that we wanted. Not that they, forced us to take or not take, anything like that. And whether they fell or not, I thought that we, as a whole, collectively, we moved better. We moved the ball better. We screened for each other. We got out in transition a little bit more. Defensively, I thought we were solid, but I think it was the offense that we really were stopping ourselves in that first quarter. So the talk at halftime was just how much that second quarter was a push for us and how we just had to come out in the third quarter punching the same way, moving, getting out in transition, and getting the stops ultimately.
Yeah, I agree with everything she said. Our defense did get a little bit better, but I think the biggest change was on the offensive end. We were able to clean things up from the first to the second quarter and just tried to continue to do that at halftime moving into the third.
Courtney, I'm guessing you won't miss Amor and Kinley after this season.
I mean, I just told the guys in the locker room I will. I mean, our game is so awesome. We don't want to play. Look at what we did in the non-conference with our schedule. I mean, we want to play great players. So, that's it makes it. It's what makes today, right? If this game was against maybe somebody different, maybe College Game Day doesn't come. This is what's so great about women's basketball. There's so many good players. Watching these two go against those two and their teammates. I mean, I mean, as I always say, if you do it right once is enough. So I know there's another step for them, and they're probably more than ready to do that. But yeah, I'm not rooting for good players to leave our conference. That's for sure.
Deja's season high 29 points. How are you able to put any points together against a tough Virginia Tech defense?
I don't know. I'm not really worried about the points, but I think in the first quarter, I think I didn't help us move as well, just our bodies, the ball. I think it took me a couple minutes just to settle into the game. I thought that it was our possessions were kind of all over the place, but the way they were playing, they were really denying Lexi really hard. They were denying our other Indy really hard. They were trying just not to let us catch, not to let us get the ball movement that we wanted. So ultimately, the slots that was open in the ball screen action. So I saw my openings and I took it. Obviously, I knew Kitley was in drop coverage, so we tried to involve her in as many ball screens as possible. But yeah, I mean, just trying to find the openings, and when they collapsed, trying to find my teammates better in the second quarter and second half.
And I was going to ask Coach,
Mhm.
and Deja went into this a little bit, but I guess what third quarter adjustments did you see, or halftime adjustments did you see from Virginia Tech that made it more difficult to kind of draw within that lead,
Mhm.
cut down that lead?
Yeah, I mean, we missed some good ones, right? If you look at, Liz and India really struggled to finish at times. I think they were good shots, that's part of the game, right? Same deal. If Liz Kitley doesn't go 11 for 17 on contested shots, the game looks different, right? So there is an element of that. But, NC State really wanted to collapse the paint and not give up layups, right? These guys were like, they don't want to give up passes, right? So it gave a lot of 1v1 in the middle of the floor. So, these guys don't care how we score. We just care that we score, right? And so I think after the first 7 minutes of the game, I think I'll like most of the looks, and you wish they could go in. But as long as you like your looks, things even out in the end.
Courtney, they shot over 60% from the field in the second half. Anything you would hope your defense would do better today, or they could have done better today?
I thought we guarded them well. If Amor just was really dangerous in the ball screen attack. So if you send two to the ball, if you don't send two to the ball, she got those two layups. If you send two to the ball, she's able to either hit in a slide or hit in a kick for her teammates. And she infuses such confidence in her teammates. We've traditionally been one of the better teams to guard them. I think Kenny will tell you that too. Again, I think defensively we were fine. This is a good. It's like watching the NBA. People say when you watch the NBA, I don't watch the NBA because they're lazy. Live a life of an NBA player for a week and tell me how lazy those guys are. They're so hard to guard, right? They're so good. And so as our game continues to get better, it's going to say on the women's side, why don't you stop them? It's because our game is so good now. It's hard to stop Amor and Kitley in a two-man action because our game is so good. So the same people who bitch about the NBA get ready to bitch about the women's basketball. That's how good these players are.
Coach,
Mhm.
just 11 minutes for Maria tonight. I
Mhm.
was wondering if there was a reason why you thought or didn't think that she kind of fit this game well, what you were trying to do as the game went on.
She struggled in ball screen coverage. She was really connected to her own on that. And then, you have to keep her at the 5. And then in the 5, she wasn't really being the dominant presence that we needed her to be. Anya can play with a little bit more activity. Z can play with a little bit more offensive, kind of stretch the floor. She gets the first shot, and we have enough good guys that we don't have to ride anybody.
Carolyn? And then
For
RL.
Deja, in a lot of teams' losses, there's been some scoring droughts, and you kind of exploded offensively. Is there any part of you that feels a little bit of pressure to explode in those moments?
No, I know that, whatever my team needs, and if I feel that we, ultimately we're moving the ball, we're getting good shots. Again, I think we had a lot of, like Coach will like a lot of the shots that we got tonight. They just didn't fall. But in that moment, I'm talking to my teammates, encouraging them to take that shot, keep shooting, like we're good. And, that's also, I know that I have to continue to shoot as well. I have to do what I'm telling them to do as well. And, just trying to help in the best way I can. But again, I don't think we liked our shots. It's not like we took, besides those first 3-4 minutes. I think again you'll like all the shots that we got.
I mean, if you look at it, guys, right? Turnovers, right? Points off turnovers, us 14, them 4. Points in the paint, us 22, them 18. Second chance points, us 7, them 5. Fast break points, us 2, them 0. Bench, us 13, them 5. So if you show me just that stat at the end of the game, we won all 5 of those statistics, usually win the game, right? So you can pick apart the nuance of it, but the fact of the matter is that, you know, what Georgia Amore and Elizabeth Kitley did was really fun to watch for y'all, you know, and I want to make sure they get the credit they deserve. It wasn't that we didn't defend well. Again, I think that's belittling how good those two players are. To say that one of the best defensive teams in the league just didn't guard them well. That's like if you ask them how did they guard Deja, they're not going to say, yeah, we just don't know Deja's good. She's hard to guard, right? So I think just making sure your story tells the truth, which is these are really, really good players that are hard to guard. And we went and we guarded them well. They're just really good.
Carl, to wrap it up.
Can you three of you speak to the resiliency when you were in a 13-point hole in the second quarter? A lot of teams might have just fallen down there, but you guys really fought to come back. What was going on there?
I can first, because these guys are so damn humble, is you recruit that, right? Everybody went after Lexi winning the portal. I will never forget when she was playing against us when we were out in the Oregon tournament. I mean, her face, I mean, you guys see how she is. I was like, I'll take that kid any day, kind of jokingly, because I don't know her. And sure enough, she goes in the portal, right? It's her competitiveness. I can go on and on about the things I like about her, but it starts with that. Same thing with Deja. I've told this many times. Deja, the story of Deja is totally mistold at times. She's pretty, she's kind, she is tough, right? So the resilience of our team happens in the recruiting process and in the prep. And so I'm not surprised by it, but I'm proud of them for it because, you know, to be down after playing so poorly in the first quarter by so much, again, you're not allowed to do this, but if you take away the first 7 minutes of the game, you like the rest of it. Pretty good.
Thanks, everybody.
Well, they were supposed to answer too.